My friends, I want to tell you something today that could change the way you see your struggles, your delays, and even your disappointments. Because I know that someone listening right now is on the edge of something big from God. You may not see it yet, but I promise you, heaven is already moving on your behalf. But hear me, before God pours out something great in your life, there are signs. There are moments when He begins to shift things around you. When He whispers to your spirit. When He closes doors you thought should stay open. When He allows trials that seem too hard to bear. Not to break you, but to prepare you. Because the God we serve is not a God of small things. He is a God of abundance, of breakthroughs, of divine appointments. So if you've been feeling like you're in a waiting season, if you've been wondering why the battle has been getting tougher, if you've been sensing that something is about to change but you can't quite explain it, then my friend, this message is for you. Because when God is about to give you something big, there are signs. And today, I want to show you exactly what those signs are, so you don't miss what heaven is trying to tell you. My friends, before God blesses you with something great, before He pours out His favor in a way that you never imagined, He will take you through a season of unusual challenges. Now I know that doesn't sound like the good news you were hoping to hear, but stay with me, because this might just be the very word your soul needs today. Some of you are in that season right now, and you've been asking, Lord, why is everything so hard? Why do I feel like I'm struggling more than ever before? But listen to me. The struggle is not a sign that God has abandoned you. It's a sign that He is preparing you. Throughout Scripture, we see this pattern over and over again. Before Joseph stepped into the palace, he went through betrayal, slavery, and prison. Before Moses led the Israelites out of Egypt, he spent 40 years in the wilderness, wondering if God was even still calling him. Before David wore the crown, he was hunted like an animal, forced to hide in caves, living as a fugitive. And my friends, even Jesus Himself, before He began His ministry, was led by the Spirit into the wilderness, fasting for 40 days and being tempted by the enemy. Do you see the pattern? Before the breakthrough, there is always a battle. Before the blessing, there is always a test. And before God gives you something big, He will take you through something hard. Now, why does God allow these seasons of difficulty? I'll tell you why. Because God is not just interested in giving you blessings. He is interested in making you ready. Preparation always comes before promotion. You wouldn't give a 5-year-old the keys to a brand new car just because you love them, would you? No, because they aren't ready to handle it yet. In the same way, God loves you too much to give you something you are not yet prepared to handle. So He allows the challenges to come, not to destroy you, but to refine you, to strengthen you, to make sure that when the blessing comes, it won't crush you, but instead, you will rise with it. Some of you are in a season right now where you feel like you're walking through the fire. But let me remind you, fire does not destroy gold, it refines it. Fire does not weaken steel, it strengthens it. And if you are walking through fire right now, it's because God is refining something in you. He is removing what doesn't belong, shaping you into the person who can handle what He's about to give you. He is teaching you perseverance, strengthening your faith, stretching your trust in Him. Because where He's taking you, you can't bring weak faith. Where He's taking you, you can't walk in fear. Where He's taking you, you will need to be spiritually strong, mentally prepared, and fully dependent on Him. I know it's not easy. I know that some of you are tired of waiting, tired of fighting, tired of wondering if the struggle will ever end. But hear me, this season will not last forever. God did not bring you this far to leave you. The same God who allowed the storm is the God who will bring you through it. And when you come out on the other side, you will look back and realize that every tear, every late night prayer, every moment when you thought you wouldn't make it, it was all part of the process. It was all part of the preparation. It was all leading you to the big thing that God had in store for you all along. So don't give up. Don't let discouragement win. Don't believe the lie that God has forgotten about you. No, my friend, He sees you. He is with you, and He is working even now. You are not being buried, you are being planted. And when the time is right, what He has placed inside of you will break through the surface, and you will step into the big thing that He has been preparing for you all along. My friends, when God is about to give you something big, you're going to feel it before you see it. There's going to be a stirring in your spirit, a restlessness in your soul that you can't quite explain. You may not be able to put it into words, but something deep inside you knows change is coming. A shift is happening. God is up to something in your life, and your spirit can sense it before your eyes can see it. Some of you know exactly what I'm talking about. You've been feeling it lately. You've been waking up with this strange expectation in your heart, like you're on the edge of something, but you don't even know what it is. You've started to feel disconnected from things that used to excite you. The places you used to feel comfortable in now feel too small. The conversations you used to enjoy don't interest you the same way. Something in you is changing, and you don't know why. But let me tell you, this is God stirring something inside of you. This is Him preparing your spirit for what He is about to do next in your life. Whenever God is about to take someone to the next level, He first awakens something inside of them. He doesn't just move around them, He moves within them. He puts a holy dissatisfaction in their hearts, a divine discontent that makes them hunger for more. It's not that you're ungrateful for where you are. It's not that you're not thankful for what He's already done. But deep inside, you just know you were made for more. You were meant for something greater. And that's because God is shifting you into position for what's coming next. Look at the life of Nehemiah. He was just a cupbearer to the king, living in a royal palace with comfort and security. But one day, he heard about the broken walls of Jerusalem, and suddenly he couldn't rest. Suddenly, his heart was burdened for something greater. He couldn't ignore it. He couldn't shake it off. That wasn't just a passing emotion. That was God stirring his spirit for a mission bigger than himself. And I wonder, what is God stirring in you right now? What is He making you restless about? What is He calling you to step into that feels too big for you? Some of you are in a place right now where you don't even understand why you feel the way you do. You can't explain why you feel like change is coming, but you know it's coming. And that's because God is shifting your spirit before He shifts your situation. He's planting new desires in your heart. He's giving you new dreams, new visions, new passions that don't make sense yet. That's why the things that once satisfied you no longer do. That's why you can't settle where you used to be. That's why your soul is longing for something more, because God is waking you up to greater. But here's the thing, you have to listen, you have to lean in, because the enemy would love nothing more than for you to ignore this stirring. He would love for you to distract yourself, to push it aside, to keep living the same way, thinking the same way, staying in the same place. But my friends, when God is stirring something in you, it's not to be ignored. It's His way of telling you, get ready. I'm about to do something new in your life. And if you try to fight it, if you try to ignore it, you will only end up frustrated. Because when God starts something in your spirit, nothing else will satisfy you until you step into it. It's why you can't go back to what was comfortable. It's why you can't settle when God is calling you higher. The old places, the old mindsets, the old habits, they won't fit anymore. He is stretching you for what's ahead. You may not see it all yet. You may not understand it all. But that stirring in your heart, that holy restlessness, that deep knowing, it's a sign that God is about to bring something big into your life. My friends, when God is about to give you something big, you might not see open doors right away. In fact, you might see the opposite, doors closing, plans falling apart, opportunities slipping through your fingers. And it's in those moments that the enemy will whisper, see, God isn't with you. If you was, things wouldn't be this hard. But I came to tell you today, closed doors are not the end of God's plan. They are part of it. Divine delays are not denials, they are preparation. They are protection. They are the hand of God working behind the scenes in ways you can't yet understand. Some of you have been praying for God to open a door, and instead it seems like every door is shutting in your face. You've been asking God, where are you? Why aren't things working out? But what if I told you that the closed door is actually your answer? What if I told you that the delay is proof that God is leading you to something greater than you were asking for? Because let me tell you, when God closes a door, it's not to harm you, it's to keep you from stepping into something that is less than His best for you. Think about Joseph. He had dreams of greatness, dreams that came straight from God. But instead of stepping straight into his destiny, what happened? Doors slammed shut. He was betrayed, thrown into a pit, sold into slavery, falsely accused, locked in a prison. If Joseph had judged God's plan by the doors that were closing, he would have thought that God had abandoned him. But God hadn't abandoned him. He was positioning him. Every closed door was a step closer to the palace. Every delay was setting him up for something greater than he could have ever imagined. And the same is true for you. You may not understand why certain things didn't work out, why that job didn't come through, why that relationship didn't last, why that opportunity slipped away. But if you could see what God sees, you would be thanking Him for every door that didn't open. Because one day, you will look back and realize that what you thought was rejection was really redirect. What you thought was a setback was really God setting you up for something better. Some of you are frustrated right now because you feel stuck in a waiting season. You've been praying, you've been believing, you've been knocking on doors, and yet nothing seems to be moving. But let me remind you, just because you don't see movement doesn't mean God isn't working. Just because the door hasn't opened yet doesn't mean it won't. Sometimes God delays things, not because He's saying no, but because He's saying not yet. Because He knows if He gives it to you too soon, you won't be ready. If He gives it to you now, it won't be the blessing it's meant to be. It will be a burden. So He waits. And in the waiting, He prepares you. In the waiting, He shapes your character so that when the door does open, you will be able to walk through it with wisdom, with strength, and with the faith that has been tested and proven. But here's the key. You have to trust that His timing is perfect. You have to trust that He sees what you cannot see. You have to trust that if the door is closed, it's for your good. Some of you have been trying to force open doors that God Himself has shut. You've been pushing and striving and trying to make things happen in your own strength. But listen, if God has closed the door, don't force it. Don't try to make something work that isn't meant for you. Because if you have to force it, that means it's not God's best. So instead of fighting against what God is doing, surrender to it. Instead of questioning His timing, trust it. Instead of being frustrated by the delays, thank Him for them. Because if the door is closed right now, it only means that something better is on the way. And when that right door opens, when the time is right, when you step into the blessing that God has been preparing for you, then you will see that every delay, every detour, and every disappointment was leading you straight to something greater than you ever imagined. My friends, when God is about to give you something big, He won't just whisper it to your heart, He will confirm it. He will speak in ways you cannot deny. Some of you have been sensing a shift, feeling that God is leading you into something new, and you've been asking, Lord, is this really you? Am I hearing you right? Am I going in the right direction? And I want you to know today, when God is moving, He will not leave you in confusion. He will give you signs. He will send confirmation. He will make it clear that His hand is on your life and that He's leading you into something greater. Now, sometimes those confirmations will come through His Word. Have you ever been reading the Bible and suddenly a verse jumps off the page like it was written just for you? Maybe it speaks directly to the situation you're in. Maybe it answers a question you've been wrestling with. That's not a coincidence. That's God confirming what He's already placed in your spirit. That's why His word is called a lamp to our feet and a light to our path. Because He uses it to guide us, to reassure us, to show us that we are walking in His will. Other times, God will confirm things through people. You'll be in a conversation and someone will say something that speaks directly to what you've been praying about. They don't even know what you're going through, but their words hit your spirit in a way that you know it's God. Or maybe a pastor preaches a sermon and it's as if they've been reading your mind. Or a friend sends you a message out of nowhere, not knowing that their words are exactly what you needed to hear. That's not chance, that's God using others to confirm what He's already been speaking to you. And then sometimes God confirms things through divine opportunities. You'll find doors opening that you didn't even knock on. A job offer will come from a place you never applied. A connection will be made that you never planned for. God will orchestrate things in such a way that you have no doubt it was Him. You see, when God is in something, He will bring alignment. He will bring favor. He will open doors that only He can open. That's why you don't have to force things to happen. Because when it's from God, it will flow in His perfect timing. But my friends, let me tell you this. God doesn't just confirm His plans through blessings. He also confirms them through resistance. Because sometimes the enemy sees what God is doing before you do, and he will try to stop it. Have you ever noticed that right before a breakthrough, you face unusual opposition? You start moving toward what God has for you, and suddenly distractions come. Doubts creep in. People start questioning you, discouraging you, making you second guess what you know God told you. Listen, don't be discouraged by the resistance. The enemy wouldn't be fighting you this hard if there wasn't something great on the other side of this battle. In fact, sometimes opposition is the very confirmation that you are on the right path. Think about Nehemiah. God put a vision in his heart to rebuild the walls of Jerusalem, and as soon as he started the work, opposition came from every side. People mocked him, threatened him, tried to stop him. But Nehemiah didn't let their voices shake him. He kept building. And because he stayed faithful, the very thing the enemy tried to stop came to pass. And my friends, the same is true for you. If you are facing opposition right now, if the enemy is trying to discourage you, that may be the clearest sign that you are stepping into something great. The question is, will you keep building? Will you keep trusting? Will you hold on to what God has spoken, even when the enemy tries to shake your confidence? God will confirm His promises, but you have to be listening, you have to be watching, you have to stay in His word so that when He speaks, you recognize His voice. You have to stay in prayer so that when He leads, you are ready to follow. You have to stay faithful so that when opposition comes, you don't waver, you don't retreat, but you stand firm, knowing that if God said it, He will do it. And when you do that, when you trust His confirmations, when you walk in obedience to what He has spoken, you will step into the big thing He has been preparing for you all along. My friends, when God is about to give you something big, the enemy will do everything he can to make you doubt it. He will try to shake your faith, distract your mind, and discourage your heart. And if you're not careful, you'll start to believe the lies. You'll start to think, maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe I didn't hear God right. Maybe this isn't for me. And that's exactly what the enemy wants, to get you to step back right when you should be stepping forward. Have you ever noticed that right before a breakthrough, the battle seems to intensify? Right before a door opens, the pressure increases. Right before the blessing, the enemy comes at you harder than ever. That's because he knows what's coming. He knows that if you step into what God has for you, if you walk in your calling, if you receive the blessing that's on its way, it's going to advance God's kingdom. It's going to shake the darkness. It's going to break chains. And so He fights you, not because you're weak, but because He sees that you are dangerous to His plans. He attacks you because He knows what's inside of you. He tries to plant fear because he knows if you hold on to faith, nothing will be able to stop you. Look at the life of Jesus. Right after he was baptized, right after the heavens opened and the Father declared, "This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased." What happened? He was led into the wilderness to be tempted by the enemy. Right after confirmation came confrontation. And that's how the enemy works. He will always attack you at the point of your identity, your purpose, and your promise. He wants you to forget who you are. He wants you to question what God has said. He wants you to turn back just when you're on the edge of something great. But I came to tell you today, don't you dare turn back now. If the enemy is fighting you, it's because your breakthrough is closer than you think. Some of you are in that battle right now. You've been feeling the weight of discouragement. You've been hearing voices of doubt. You've been facing distractions that are pulling you away from what God has spoken. But listen, if you're facing resistance, that means you are moving forward. The only time the enemy has to fight you is when you are advancing. He doesn't fight people who are sitting still. He doesn't fight people who have given up. He only fights those who are about to step into something powerful. So if you're in a fight right now, take heart. It's a sign that God is about to do something big in your life. The enemy will use every tactic he can to stop you. He will try to wear you down with distraction. He will put things in your path that pull your focus away from what really matters. He will try to drain your energy on things that don't deserve your time. He will send people who speak negativity into your life. People who make you doubt yourself. But don't take the bait. Keep your eyes on what God has spoken. Stay focused on His promises. Stay rooted in His Word. Because if the enemy can't take your faith, he can't take your future. And let me tell you something else. When the enemy sees he can't distract you, he will try to exhaust you. He will try to wear you out, make you tired, make you want to quit. Some of you have been feeling weary. You've been feeling drained. But hear me, this is not the time to give up. The enemy wants you to stop because he knows your breakthrough is near. But the Bible says, do not grow weary in doing good, for in due season you will reap if you do not give up. And my friends, I believe your due season is coming. The only thing you have to do is hold on. This is why you have to be intentional about staying strong in the Spirit. You have to surround yourself with people who will speak life into you. You have to stay in the Word, because the Word is your weapon. When Jesus was tempted in the wilderness, He didn't argue with the enemy. He declared the Word of God. And that's what you have to do. When the enemy whispers doubt, declare what God has said. When fear tries to creep in, remind yourself of God's promises. When discouragement tries to settle in your heart, stand on the truth that God is faithful and He will complete the work He has started in you. So if you've been feeling attacked, if you've been feeling resistance, if you've been wondering why the battle has been so intense, now you know why. It's because you're on the edge of something big. It's because the enemy sees what's coming and he's trying to stop you before you get there. But don't you back down now. Don't you let go of what God has promised you. Don't you let fear keep you from stepping forward. Because if you stand firm, if you refuse to be shaken, if you keep your faith in the middle of the battle, you will walk into everything God has prepared for you, and nothing will be able to stop it. My friends, when God is about to give you something big, He will ask you to take a step of faith. He will lead you into a place where you have no choice but to trust Him. You won't have all the answers. You won't see the full picture. But He will call you to move forward, to step into the unknown, to believe that if He has spoken it, He will do it. And this is where many people hesitate. This is where fear creeps in. Because stepping out in faith means leaving behind what is comfortable. It means walking in obedience even when you don't understand. It means trusting that God will provide even when you don't see how. Look at Abraham. God told him to leave his homeland, to step away from everything familiar, and to go to a land that God would show him. But God didn't give him all the details. He didn't tell him exactly where he was going. He simply said, go. And Abraham obeyed. He didn't wait for everything to make sense. He didn't demand all the answers. He stepped out in faith. And because he obeyed, God blessed him beyond anything he could have imagined. Some of you are waiting for everything to be perfect before you move. You're waiting for all the doors to open, for all the resources to be in place, for all the fear to disappear. But faith doesn't work like that. Faith is stepping out even when you don't have all the answers. Faith is trusting that if God is calling you, He will make a way. Some of you have been feeling the nudge of the Holy Spirit. You've been sensing that God is calling you higher. Maybe He's been leading you to start something new. Maybe He's been telling you to walk away from something that no longer serves His purpose for your life. Maybe He's been urging you to step out into a deeper level of ministry, a new business, a new opportunity, a new season. But instead of moving, you've been hesitating. Instead of stepping forward, you've been holding back, waiting for a sign so big that you can't miss it. But let me tell you, sometimes God doesn't give you the whole staircase. Sometimes He only gives you the first step. And it's only when you take that step that the next one becomes clear. Fear will always try to hold you back. The enemy will whisper, what if? What if you fail? What if you step out and nothing happens? But let me ask you, what if it does work? What if this step of faith is the very thing that launches you into your destiny? What if the blessing you've been praying for is waiting on the other side of your obedience? What if God is just waiting for you to trust Him enough to move? Because here's the truth. God will not do what you are called to do. He will give you the promise, but you have to take the step. He will open the door, but you have to walk through it. He will make the way, but you have to trust Him enough to follow. Think about Peter. When he saw Jesus walking on the water, he had a choice. He could stay in the boat where it was safe, or he could step out onto the waves. And for a moment, he did it. He walked on water. But then he let fear creep in. He took his eyes off Jesus and he started to sink. And some of you have stepped out before, but when the waves started rising, you doubted. When things didn't go exactly as planned, you let fear take over. And now you're afraid to try again. But I came to tell you, this is not the time to shrink back. This is not the time to let fear win. This is the time to step out in faith. To trust that the same God who called you is the same God who will sustain you. Obedience always requires faith. And faith means moving before you see the whole picture. When God told the priests in Joshua's day to step into the Jordan River, the waters didn't part right away. The Bible says that the moment their feet touched the water, then the river split in two. Not before, not when they were standing safely on dry land. It was only when they stepped forward in faith that the miracle happened. And my friends, the same is true for you. God is calling you to step into the waters. He is calling you to trust Him with everything. And when you do, you will see Him move in ways that you never imagined. Some of you are at a crossroads right now. You feel God calling you forward, but fear is holding you back. You want to trust Him, but doubt keeps whispering in your ear. But let me tell you, you cannot receive the blessing if you are unwilling to take the step. You cannot see the fullness of what God has for you if you stay where it's comfortable. The miracles, the breakthroughs, the promises, they are all waiting on the other side of your obedience. And if you will take that step of faith, if you will move when God says move, if you will trust Him even when it doesn't make sense, then you will walk into everything He has been preparing for you. And nothing will be able to stop it. What if I told you that the financial breakthrough you've been praying for is not sitting in the bank, not locked behind a promotion, and not waiting in some lottery ticket, but hidden in a single psalm of Scripture? What if I told you that this one psalm has the power to magnetize money into your hands, dissolve financial struggles, and open doors you thought were permanently closed? And what if I told you that this blessing isn't somewhere out in the distant future, but it's hovering over you right now, waiting for your faith to activate it? In just a few moments, I'm going to share with you the exact psalm that shifts your financial destiny. And I promise you, by the time we reach the last point of this message, your entire perspective on wealth, faith, and divine supply will be transformed forever. So don't miss a second watch until the very end, because that final revelation might just change your life. If this message has touched your heart today, I encourage you, do not keep it to yourself. Share your testimony in the comments below, so others may be blessed by your faith. And if you have not yet, I urge you, subscribe to this channel, so together we may continue to grow in the Word of God and in the power of the Holy Spirit. When you like this video, you are spreading the gospel further, bringing hope and healing to many lives. The spoken word creates reality. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. Long before you and I took our first breath, long before coins were minted, long before paper carried the face of kings, there was sound, there was vibration. There was the Word moving through the invisible shaping form, commanding order, bringing light into the void. The ancient text tells us that God spoke and worlds were framed. He said, "Let there be light," and there was light. The universe did not resist. Creation did not argue. The darkness did not debate. The word was spoken and manifestation bowed to it. From this eternal truth flows the principle. What is spoken in faith becomes the architecture of one's destiny. When you speak tonight, you are not just reading a psalm as though it were ink on paper or sound on your lips. You are calling forth unseen forces to arrange themselves in harmony with your decree. Your words are seeds cast into the soil of the subconscious, and the subconscious does not argue. It does not resist. It does not analyze. It accepts. And the moment you speak the word, the soil of your inner being begins to germinate, to move, to bring forth after its kind. If you speak poverty, the soil brings forth lack. If you speak fear, the soil brings forth limitation. But when you speak the word of God, when you declare His psalm in faith, the soil must bring forth abundance, because divine law is irrevocable. Consider the breath that leaves your lips as sacred currency. Each word is not wasted air, but a coin cast into the treasury of heaven. When you murmur complaint, you spend your wealth on ashes. When you repeat worry, you invest in loss. But when you declare the psalm of abundance, when you proclaim, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want," you are making a deposit into the bank of eternity, and interest begins to accumulate. The word carries its own power. You do not have to strive. You do not have to wrestle. You only have to speak and believe. The word performs its own work, just as a seed performs its own miracle in the soil. It is not ritual. It is not superstition. It is law. Just as gravity pulls the apple to the ground, just as the tide obeys the moon, so too does the word bring forth its own harvest. When you read the psalm tonight, you align your voice with the vibration of heaven, and heaven cannot deny itself. Divine truth rushes to fulfill the sound that mirrors its nature, and wealth, which has always been present in the unseen, begins to take shape in the seen. Money that once seemed elusive begins to flow. Opportunities that once felt hidden begin to reveal themselves. Doors that once were locked begin to open, not because you pushed, but because you spoke. You see, creation responds not to your striving, but to your sound. You can work and toil, sweat and worry, exhaust yourself with effort, yet see little fruit. But when your word aligns with divine law, the fruit begins to multiply of its own accord. It is like the farmer who SWS in silence, and overnight the earth brings forth blades, stalks, and grain. The farmer does not understand how, but he trusts the law of seed time and harvest. So it is with the spoken word. You need not understand the mechanics of how money will come or through whom it will arrive. You need only release the word, and divine law carries it on wings unseen, arranging circumstances, stirring hearts, opening streams until wealth finds its way to you. The word you speak tonight is not ordinary. It is charged with divine authority. When you declare the psalm, you are not simply echoing ancient poetry. You are echoing the creative voice of God Himself. That same voice that commanded stars into being now flows through your tongue, clothed in your sound, carried on your breath. You become a co-creator with the infinite, shaping the landscape of your tomorrow. Heaven hears, earth responds, and wealth obeys. Have you not noticed how words spoken in anger can wound the soul for years? How words of encouragement can lift a weary heart in moments? If mortal words have such power to alter emotions, how much greater is the power of divine words spoken in faith? They are not mere vibrations in the air. They are living forces sharper than any two-edged sword, cutting through doubt, piercing through lack, separating you from the lie of limitation, and binding you to the truth of abundance. When you read the psalm tonight, imagine your words as arrows of light, piercing the darkness of financial fear, cutting through the fog of uncertainty, striking the very heart of lack until it dissolves with every verse. See chains of debt falling from your hands with every declaration. See rivers of provision flowing toward you. For the word does not return void. It accomplishes that which it is sent to do. When you speak, you are sending it forth like a messenger on assignment, and it cannot fail to deliver wealth into your experience. The subconscious mind is like fertile earth, and at night it is most open, most receptive, most impressionable. That is why the word spoken before sleep carries extraordinary power. As your body rests, your spirit labors, and the word you have sown continues to germinate in silence. Angels move on your behalf. Divine law operates while you slumber. The psalm becomes a vibration in your very being, harmonizing your spirit with prosperity, dissolving old patterns of lack, planting new patterns of wealth. And when the dawn breaks, you awaken not only with refreshed strength, but with a field of opportunities, already ripened, waiting for your harvest. Do not underestimate the power of repetition. Each night you speak the word, you reinforce the pattern of abundance. Each declaration engraves prosperity deeper into the fabric of your soul. And just as a sculptor chisels stone little by little until the masterpiece is revealed, so too does your spoken word chisel away the rough edges of doubt until the masterpiece of wealth stands before you. The psalm becomes not just something you read, but something you embody, something you breathe, something you live. The moment you open your mouth in faith, invisible currents begin to shift. What was once withheld is released. What was once blocked is opened. What was once distant is drawn near. For sound is not bound by walls, nor hindered by time, nor silenced by distance. Your word travels through realms seen and unseen, touching hearts, opening doors, commanding wealth to appear. And wealth must obey, for it is a servant of divine law. It does not resist those who align with the word. It comes willingly, eagerly, abundantly. So tonight, as you lift your voice and declare the psalm, remember, you are not reciting. You are creating. You are not hoping. You are commanding. You are not pleading. You are aligning. The word that leaves your lips tonight will not die in the air. It will live, it will move, it will manifest. It will call wealth out of the invisible and usher it into your visible life. For the spoken word creates reality. Money as divine energy. Money is often mistaken for coins, paper, or digits on a screen. People chase it, fear it, hoard it, or resent it. But few pause long enough to understand what money truly is. Money in its essence is not material. It is spiritual substance, divine energy clothed in form. It is a symbol, a representation of circulation, a visible manifestation of an invisible current, just as electricity flows through wires and lights a lamp. Money flows through channels and illuminates a life. It is not the source itself, but the evidence of the source. To reduce money to numbers in a bank account is to misunderstand its nature. To see it as divine energy is to reclaim the power that so many have surrendered to fear and lack. All things visible are born from the invisible. Before a coin is minted, the energy of wealth exists. Before a paycheck is signed, the supply already is. Money is not created in the mind of man. It is revealed through the divine substance of the universe. That is why the psalm, when spoken, does not bring wealth from nothing. It awakens you to the wealth that has always been. You may not see it with natural eyes, but it is as real as the air you breathe. The psalm aligns you with that energy, clearing away the mental blocks that keep you blind to supply, opening the door for money to flow into your experience in visible ways. This divine energy is not limited by geography, time, or circumstance. It does not matter whether you live in a village or a city, whether the economy is booming or declining, whether opportunities seem plenty or few. Money as divine energy responds not to the conditions outside of you, but to the vibration within you. When your inner state is aligned with abundance, money must come. When your inner state is filled with fear, money slips away. The psalm spoken with faith raises your vibration to match the frequency of wealth. It harmonizes your inner energy with the divine current of prosperity. And in that harmony, money begins to appear, often through channels you never expected. Think of water flowing down a mountain. It moves naturally, effortlessly, without hesitation. It does not stop to ask permission, nor does it worry about scarcity. It finds its way around rocks, slips through cracks, carves valleys, and eventually reaches the ocean. Money, as divine energy, moves in the same way. It is circulation. It is designed to flow. When you resist it with fear, doubt, or unworthiness, it pulls up and stagnates. When you open to it with faith, gratitude, and expectancy, it rushes toward you, seeking you out, eager to fulfill its purpose. The psalm, when spoken at night, loosens the stones of resistance and clears the channels, allowing money to flow freely once more. There is a reason why worry and struggle never produce lasting wealth. When you chase money as though it were a thing outside of you, you operate in separation. You see money as distant, elusive, perhaps even hostile. But when you understand that money is divine energy, already present within the fabric of your life, you shift from chasing to attracting. You no longer strive to possess. You allow yourself to receive. The psalm becomes not a plea, but a declaration of alignment. It reminds you that you are part of divine circulation. That supply is your birthright. And that energy clothed in the form of money is eager to reach you. Money is energy, but it also carries vibration. It responds to the vibration with which it is handled. When money is feared, it shrinks. When it is hoarded in anxiety, it loses circulation. When it is cursed, it resists. But when money is blessed, honored, and recognized as divine, it multiplies. The psalm shifts your relationship with money. Instead of seeing it as scarce, you begin to see it as abundant. Instead of fearing its absence, you begin to trust its presence. Instead of clutching at it with desperation, you begin to handle it with gratitude. This shift in vibration transforms money from a burden into a servant, from a worry into a blessing, from a chain into a key. There are those who have worked tirelessly, yet remain poor, and others who have spoken little but live in abundance. The difference lies not in effort, but in alignment. To see money as mere matter is to limit it to human effort. To see money as divine energy is to tap into a limitless source. Energy cannot be destroyed. It can only change form. So too with money. Even when it leaves your hand, it is not gone. It circulates, it returns, it multiplies. The psalm spoken at night plants this truth into your consciousness, replacing the fear of loss with the assurance of circulation. You no longer cling, for you know the flow will return. You no longer despair, for you know divine energy cannot run out. You no longer envy, for you know the same source that supplies others supplies you abundantly. Imagine money as light. It shines through different lamps, but the electricity behind it is the same. Whether it arrives as a paycheck, a gift, a business idea, or an unexpected opportunity, it is all the same divine energy clothed in different garments. When you declare the psalm, you are not dictating how the money should come. You are opening yourself to the infinite ways it can appear. You release the need to control the channel and instead trust the source. This trust removes the strain of striving and replaces it with a piece of expectancy. And in that expectancy, money begins to flow. For it is drawn to faith as surely as metal is drawn to a magnet. Too long has money been treated as a master, feared as an oppressor, or desired as an idol. In truth, money is none of these. It is a servant, a symbol, a vessel of divine energy. When you place it in its rightful position, you free yourself from bondage to it. You no longer fear losing it because you know energy cannot be lost. You no longer idolize it because you know it is not the source but the channel. You no longer resent it because you know it is designed to bless, not to curse. The psalm restores this rightful perspective. Each verse reorients your heart, dissolves old lies, and awakens you to the truth. Money is divine energy, and as such, it flows to you naturally, abundantly, without resistance. And just as the body thrives when circulation is strong, so too does life thrive when money circulates freely. To block it with fear is to cut off the blood flow of prosperity. To release it with faith is to open the veins of abundance. The psalm spoken in the stillness of night is a divine prescription, a medicine for the soul, a prayer that heals the flow of wealth in your life. It quiets the anxious mind, calms the fearful heart, and aligns you once more with the truth of divine circulation. And as you rest, that circulation begins to manifest, weaving opportunities, drawing connections, preparing blessings until money clothed in form makes its way into your life as naturally as tide returns to the shore. The psalm as a key of release. There are hidden codes woven into the sacred text, words that carry vibrations not of man's invention but of divine origin. A psalm is not just poetry or history, it is a spiritual formula, a key designed to unlock doors that seem sealed. Within every line is energy, and within every word is a seed of transformation. When you read a psalm with faith, especially at night, when the conscious mind quiets and the subconscious is most receptive, you are not simply reciting verses. You are turning the key in a lock that has long kept your wealth, peace, and abundance behind closed doors. The psalm is the key of release, the spiritual instrument by which you open what was shut, dissolve what was bound, and free what has always belonged to you. Many live in cages of lack, and though the bars are invisible, they are real. These cages are built not of steel, but of fear, doubt, unworthiness, and limitation. A man may work all his life and yet feel as though he is pushing against unseen walls, never able to break through to the freedom he longs for. The truth is, no amount of striving can break those bars, for they are not physical, they are spiritual in nature, and only a spiritual key can release them. That key is the Word, and the Psalms are among the purest expressions of that Word. Each verse holds within it the vibration of divine law. And when spoken in faith, the very sound begins to dismantle the prison of lack, loosening the chains and opening the door to prosperity. When you read a psalm, you align yourself with eternal truth. And truth, by its very nature, sets free. Freedom is not something you create. It is something you uncover. Abundance is not something you invent. It is something you release. The psalm does not put wealth into your life. It releases wealth from the realm of spirit into the realm of matter. Imagine a river dammed up, its waters pressing, waiting, longing to flow. The psalm is the key that lifts the gate, and instantly the waters rush forth, unstoppable, abundant, generous. Wealth has always been pressing at the edges of your life, but doubt, fear, and unconscious patterns have held the gate shut. The psalm spoken with faith releases the gate, and what was dammed up begins to flow towards you with power and force. There is a reason why so many find peace in the Psalms, even in times of despair. It is not merely comfort, it is release. The words carry frequencies that untangle the knots of fear and open space for divine circulation. When you declare, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want," you are not merely affirming that God will provide. You are turning the key of release, canceling the lie of lack, unlocking the storehouse of divine supply. You are releasing wealth, releasing peace, releasing opportunity. The psalm is more than prayer, it is activation. Think of a locked chest filled with treasure, sealed for years. People may walk by it, admire it, even rest upon it, but without the key, the treasure remains untouchable. So it is with wealth. It's all around you, pressed into the invisible, waiting for release. The psalm is that key. With every line you read, with every declaration of faith, you turn the lock a little further until the chest bursts open and treasures hidden in darkness flood into your experience. You do not create the treasure, you release it. You do not manufacture the supply, you reveal it. The psalm acts as a bridge between the unseen and the seen, between the eternal storehouse and your daily life. At night, when silence drapes the world and your mind drifts toward rest, the psalm has unique power. For in that hour, the chatter of the mind grows still, the defenses of logic weaken, and the gates of the subconscious stand open. It is then that the psalm, spoken aloud or whispered with intention, enters deep, embedding itself into the fertile soil of your inner being. There it works unseen, undoing the locks of fear, dissolving the knots of resistance, and releasing currents of wealth that will manifest in the days to come. The night prayer is not lost in silence. It is amplified in the unseen, sent forth as a key to release what belongs to you. Every psalm carries a specific vibration. Some soothe, some protect, some heal, and some release abundance. When spoken, their vibration echoes into the spirit realm, where laws higher than human reasoning govern. These laws recognize the sound of truth and respond instantly. Just as a locked door yields to the right key, so does the realm of prosperity yield to the vibration of the psalm. And what once seemed impossible, what once seemed out of reach, suddenly opens with ease because the correct key has been used. Consider this. The locks on your life were not placed there by God. The locks of lack, fear, and limitation are forged by false belief, hardened by worry, and secured by repetition of negative thought. But divine law has always provided the key. It was never God's intention for you to remain outside the storehouse of abundance. The Psalms are His keys placed in your hands, waiting only for your faith to turn them. The moment you speak them with belief, the locks must yield. For no lie can withstand the vibration of divine truth. Release is not dramatic. It is not always loud or sudden. Sometimes it is as subtle as a shift within, a quiet knowing, a gentle opening. And yet from that subtle shift, entire worlds of abundance can be released. You may wake the next morning to a new idea, a chance encounter, an unexpected gift, a door opening where once there was only a wall. These are not coincidences. They are the evidence of release. The psalm has done its work. The key has turned, and the treasure has begun to flow. The psalm also releases you from inner bondage. For what good is wealth if the soul remains enslaved to fear? The verses untangle the inner cords of anxiety, releasing peace, releasing joy, releasing courage. And as inner release comes, outer release follows. Money is no longer seen as a struggle or a master, but as a servant, a current, a tool of divine energy flowing freely into your hands. You no longer cling or chase. You allow. You no longer strive to force doors open. You speak the psalm and watch as they swing wide of their own accord. And so the psalm becomes both key and evidence of release. It is the action that turns the lock, and it is the peace that follows once the gate is open. Each verse spoken in faith is a step closer to freedom. Each declaration a twist of the key. Each word a loosening of the bolt until finally the door stands open. The prison dissolves, the treasure flows, and what was always yours is revealed at last. Faith cancels fear. Fear and faith cannot dwell in the same house. One expels the other. Where fear rules, faith is silent. And where faith rises, fear dissolves. They are two masters competing for the throne of your heart. And whichever you choose to serve will shape your experience of life. Fear binds, paralyzes, and contracts. Faith liberates, moves, and expands. Fear shuts doors and blinds eyes, while faith opens gates and clears paths. Fear whispers of scarcity, but faith sings of abundance. When you take the psalm upon your lips at night, you are not merely speaking words. You are choosing faith over fear, light over shadow, truth over illusion. Fear is a deceiver. It magnifies the illusion of lack, paints shadows larger than life, and convinces the mind that tomorrow is uncertain and unsafe. Fear speaks loudly of bills, debts, and closed doors, but offers no solution. It drains strength, steals peace, and tightens the grip of poverty. It whispers that you are unworthy, that abundance is for others but not for you. Fear chains the imagination to failure, binds the will to despair, and blinds the heart to opportunity. In this way, fear becomes a jailer, keeping men and women locked away from the wealth that is already theirs. But faith is a liberator. It unlocks vision, lifts the imagination, and fills the heart with courage. Faith does not deny circumstances. It transcends them. It looks at the empty purse and declares, "My supply is infinite." It sees the closed door and proclaims, "Another door shall open." It hears the whisper of lack and responds with the shout of abundance. Faith calls things that are not as though they are, and by its very nature calls them into being. Where fear binds, faith releases. Where fear contracts, faith expands. Where fear suffocates, faith breathes life. The psalm spoken at night is a declaration of faith. Each verse is a sword cutting through the fog of fear. Each line is a shield against the arrows of doubt. When you read the psalm, you are not pleading with the heavens. You are commanding your soul to believe. You are affirming the truth that cancels the lie of fear. You are reprogramming the inner mind, silencing the voice of lack and awakening the vibration of abundance. Fear may try to linger, but faith spoken consistently dissolves it like light dissolves darkness. Darkness does not fight against light. It simply vanishes. So too does fear vanish in the presence of faith-filled words. Night is the hour when fear often tries to rise. In the silence when the world grows still, the mind sometimes grows loud with worry. The bills echo in thought, the uncertainties magnify, and the imagination runs wild with pictures of loss. This is why the psalm at night is so powerful. It interrupts the voice of fear and replaces it with the vibration of truth. Instead of fear filling the subconscious as you drift into sleep, faith fills it. Instead of nightmares of lack, visions of abundance take root. And as you rest, faith continues to work, dissolving fear at its roots and planting seeds of prosperity deep in the soil of your being. Fear is always rooted in separation. It tells you that you are cut off from supply, that you are alone in your struggle, that the universe is against you. Faith restores the truth of connection. It reminds you that you are one with divine supply, that heaven is your source, that you are never abandoned. Fear looks at the bank account and sees emptiness. Faith looks at the infinite source and sees fullness. Fear clings tightly to what little it has, afraid to release. Faith knows that to release is to circulate, and to circulate is to multiply. Fear builds walls, but faith builds bridges. It is impossible to step into wealth while clinging to fear, for fear is contraction, and contraction cuts off circulation. Just as a clenched fist cannot receive, a fearful heart cannot attract. Faith, on the other hand, is open-handed, receptive, expansive. It creates space for money to flow in, for opportunities to appear, for blessings to manifest. Faith says, I expect good, and good rushes to meet it. Fear says, I expect loss, and loss comes running. The psalm retrains the tongue and the mind to expect good. Each verse is an expectation spoken aloud, a refusal to bow to fear, a declaration that abundance is the only truth. The difference between a fearful prayer and a faith-filled declaration is profound. A fearful prayer begs and pleads, rooted in the belief that God may not hear or may not provide. A faith-filled declaration, like the psalm, knows that provision is already given, that supply is already present, that wealth is already here. It does not plead, it affirms. It does not doubt, it proclaims. And in that proclamation, fear is silenced and abundance is released. Look at the way fear shrinks the world of those who serve it. A person afraid to spend becomes imprisoned by their own money. A person afraid to invest never grows. A person afraid to dream remains bound to the smallness of their present life. Fear shrinks possibilities until only survival remains, but faith expands possibilities. It dares to spend with gratitude, knowing that more shall return. It dares to invest, trusting that divine circulation multiplies. It dares to dream, believing that the unseen can become the seen. The psalm is the language of daring faith, the sound of expansion, the vibration of increase. When you read the psalm, imagine fear as shadows on a wall. The shadows appear large, monstrous even, but they are only cast by a small object held close to the light. The moment the light grows brighter, the shadows vanish. Fear is the same. It looms large in the imagination, but in the light of faith, it has no substance. The psalm is that light. With each verse spoken, the shadows dissolve, the room clears, and you see that abundance has been waiting all along. Fear blinded you, faith opens your eyes. Faith cancels fear not by argument but by presence. Just as a flame cancels darkness without effort, so does faith cancel fear simply by being. That is why it is so important to fill your life with the vibration of faith. To read the psalm aloud, to let its words echo through your room, to let its rhythm settle into your breath, is to invite the presence of faith into every corner of your being. And in that presence, fear cannot dwell. It retreats, it dissolves, it disappears. And in its place, peace arises. And from peace flows wealth. For wealth thrives where faith is strong and fear is absent. Faith does not wait for evidence before believing. It believes and then creates evidence. Fear waits for lack and then multiplies it. Faith steps out on the invisible and finds it solid beneath its feet. Fear clings to the visible and watches it slip away. The psalm spoken with conviction trains the soul to walk in faith, to speak abundance even when lack seems present, to declare wealth even when pockets are empty, to proclaim victory even when battles rage. This faith creates the evidence it declares, for the unseen bows to the sound of truth. And so each night you lift your voice in the psalm. You are choosing faith over fear. You are choosing expansion over contraction, abundance over lack, truth over illusion. You are canceling fear, not with force, but with vibration, with the sound of the living word, with the declaration of divine law that knows no lack. And as faith grows stronger, fear grows weaker, until at last it is no more. And only faith remains, guiding you into the wealth that has always been yours. So many spend their lives chasing money as though it were a fugitive running from them, always just out of reach, always around the next corner. They run harder, work longer, and exhaust themselves in pursuit of something that seems to slip away the moment they grasp at it. But money was never meant to be chased. Prosperity was never designed to flee from you. Wealth, by divine law, is not a quarry to be hunted, but a river that flows. When you align yourself with the eternal current of truth, wealth does not run from you. It runs to you. It seeks you out. It finds you. It attaches itself to you. For your vibration becomes irresistible to it. The psalm spoken at night with faith is not just a prayer. It is a magnet. Each word you speak radiates energy, and that energy carries a frequency. Money, being divine energy clothed in form, is drawn to frequencies of faith, gratitude, and expectancy. When you declare the psalm with conviction, you are sending out a signal into the unseen, a beacon of light that wealth recognizes and rushes toward. You no longer need to strain or chase, for the word itself pulls money toward you. You rest in faith, and wealth seeks you out. Think of how bees are drawn to flowers. The flower does not chase after the bee, pleading for attention. It simply blooms. Its fragrance and beauty call the bees to it. So too is the soul that declares the psalm. In the fragrance of faith, in the beauty of truth, wealth comes buzzing, eager to circulate, eager to bless. You need not chase. You need only bloom in alignment with divine law. The psalm is the act of blooming, the opening of your spirit, the release of fragrance into the unseen. And wealth, like the bees, comes in response. Chasing wealth is rooted in fear. It is the belief that you are separate from supply, that you must run after it before it runs away. But divine law teaches that supply is already yours. Wealth is not hiding from you. It is waiting for you to align with it. When you read the psalm, you declare that alignment. You remind your soul that abundance is natural, that prosperity is your birthright, that money has ears and responds to the sound of truth. Suddenly, instead of running after opportunities, you find opportunities running after you. Instead of begging for provision, you find provision seeking you out in unexpected ways. Wealth is not random, it follows law. Just as a compass needle always points north, wealth always points to faith. It gravitates toward those who are in harmony with divine supply. The psalm spoken in faith places you in that harmony. It shifts your inner compass, aligning you with the magnetic pull of prosperity. And once aligned, wealth cannot help but find you. It is drawn as surely as rivers are drawn to the sea, as surely as light is drawn to open space, as surely as sound echoes in the valley. The law cannot be broken. Wealth must respond to the vibration of faith, and it must seek you out. Consider how often blessings arrive uninvited. a gift from a friend, a door opening unexpectedly, a business idea appearing in a dream, an opportunity presenting itself by chance. These are not accidents, they are evidence of wealth seeking you. The psalm does not create these blessings. It clears the way for you to recognize and receive them. It trains your soul to expect, and expectation is the open hand that wealth looks for. A closed hand of fear repels money, but an open hand of faith draws it near. The night is especially powerful for this alignment. In the quiet hours, when the noise of the world has faded, your words echo more deeply into the unseen. As you speak the psalm before sleep, you are planting signals into the spiritual atmosphere. While you rest, those signals call out, summoning wealth, summoning opportunity, summoning provision. Just as a lighthouse calls ships from the sea, your words of faith call wealth from the unseen. And by morning, the tide of prosperity is already moving toward you. You may ask, how can wealth seek me when I have no visible channels? But wealth is not limited to channels you can see. It does not need your job alone, nor your business alone, nor the means you expect. It has infinite ways to reach you. When you align through the psalm, wealth begins to weave its way through channels unknown, arranging meetings, stirring hearts, shifting circumstances, until what once seemed impossible become inevitable. Wealth does not need you to chase it. It needs you to be still, to align, to speak, and to trust. And in that trust, wealth finds you. Imagine standing still in a field with the wind blowing. You do not chase the wind. You open your arms and let it touch you. You do not run after the air. You breathe it in. Wealth, as divine energy, moves the same way. It is already moving, already circulating, already seeking expression. The psalm positions you to receive it. You breathe it in and it fills your life. You do not labor to make the wind blow. You simply open to it. You do not labor to make wealth exist. You simply open to it, and when you open, it comes, for it has been seeking you all along. There are those who seem to attract money without effort, and others who struggle endlessly without result. The difference is not luck but law. Those who attract have aligned themselves consciously or unconsciously with the vibration of abundance. Those who struggle have aligned themselves with fear, doubt, or lack. The psalm shifts that alignment. It is the great recalibration of the soul. Each verse sung, spoken, or whispered is a tuning of your inner instrument to the frequency of prosperity. And once tuned, wealth hears the music and comes dancing to you, for it cannot resist its own vibration. Wealth is not an enemy to be conquered, nor a stranger to be pursued. It is a friend looking for you, a servant eager to fulfill its purpose. It is drawn to the soul that is ready, the heart that is open, the voice that speaks truth. When you read the psalm, you send forth the invitation. You say to wealth, here I am, aligned, receptive, expectant, and wealth, hearing the call, begins to move in your direction. It cannot ignore you, for your words have summoned it. Your faith has magnetized it, and your vibration has welcomed it. The truth is that wealth is already seeking you even before you call, but fear blocks its path. Doubt shuts the door, and unworthiness hides the invitation. The psalm removes these barriers. It opens the door, clears the path, and raises the light that says, I am ready. And when that readiness is present, wealth finds you swiftly, abundantly, unmistakably. It comes as the answer to your declaration, the evidence of your faith, the manifestation of divine law at work in your life. Beloved, tonight you have discovered a secret hidden in plain sight. The power of the spoken word, the truth that money is divine energy, the mystery of the psalm as a key of release, the law that faith cancels fear, and the glorious reality that wealth will not run from you, but will seek you out. The psalm you speak is not just sound. It is a vibration, a command, a signal that reaches into the unseen and draws forth provision from every corner of the universe. When you align with it, money becomes not a struggle but a flow, not a burden but a blessing, not something to chase, but something magnetized to your very presence. This is the divine order. You are not meant to beg for wealth, nor labor in endless toil for what is already yours. You are meant to stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. You are meant to speak His word and watch the rivers of supply open wide. You are meant to declare your abundance and rest in the faith that it is so. When you read the psalm tonight, do it with expectancy. Let each word be a seed planted in the garden of the unseen. As you sleep, the angels of provision go to work. The laws of circulation begin to move, and doors swing open in places you never imagined. You do not need to know how it will come. You only need to know that it will. The how belongs to the infinite, but the yes belongs to you. So rest tonight in faith. Speak the psalm with conviction. Release your fears into the silence and trust that money, opportunity, and divine wealth are already on their way to you. Drawn by the power of your word, drawn by the law of faith, drawn by the magnetic pull of your expectancy, wealth will find you. Abundance will overflow. Prosperity will become your natural state. For the word never returns void. And the psalm you speak tonight is the very key that opens the gates of divine.